Joe, you could start a number of different places, but I think we should start with 6,900 in sight for the S&P 500.
Yeah, and certainly we're advancing today on the strength of the Mag 7. So far year to date, it had been Meta and Microsoft and Amazon back in February, NVIDIA that had made new all-time highs. More recently, it is about a breakout in Alphabet. It's a breakout in Apple. Pick the reason that you want to cite for that breakout. But it's a rebuilding of positioning. And I will tell you this, I think Tesla's coming to the party. Tesla last made its all-time high in December, trading about 465, 488 would be a new all-time high. It's past earnings. I think Tesla's the next one that's going to do it. So it can act as a very clear catalyst here the coming days. This collaboration of 5 mega cap earnings, I would be absolutely floored if all 5 of them miss and had a detrimental effect on the market. I spoke to you about that yesterday, but it is the strength and the power of the Mag 7 right now that is really propelling this market towards 6,900. And if those earnings are good, 7,000's in play.
I think we need to hit the Microsoft news, Rich, because it's a really interesting development. So OpenAI completes their restructuring. It solidifies Microsoft as a major shareholder. But the news that is even, I think, more important to investors is what we're learning from a report in the last 10 minutes or so, whereas Microsoft will receive 20% of OpenAI revenue in a for-profit move, okay? So that news in and of itself, Microsoft's up almost 2%. It is the best of the bag, at least of the tech ones, right? Tesla's having a nice day, too. But this is significant news for a stock that you own in Microsoft.
Right. It's just continuous to add to the value of Microsoft. Another $135 billion added today. And it's consistent with Microsoft being the intersection of software and AI. I think the big item for tomorrow's earnings report is going to be the results of Azure. They've been growing at 33%. I think analysts are looking for the mid-30 type growth, and we expect them to achieve that.
You know, I want you to hit the Microsoft thing, too, because you have the name. This strikes me as a very significant development.
It is.
That they're going to receive 20% of OpenAI revenue. Mm-hmm. A company that is now valued, OpenAI is at $500 billion. Who knows what it eventually is going to go public at. But outside of NVIDIA, it's obviously the most exciting thing happening within the whole AI trade. You can only imagine what their revenues are going to climb to. And the fact that Microsoft, according to this report, is going to get 20% of that. Wow.
Microsoft is going to get 20% of that. I think this also removes a degree of uncertainty that had existed for Microsoft over the last several months in terms of what the agreement ultimately would look like and what the relationship would be for OpenAI with other cloud providers. This is actually a good thing for other cloud providers. This is a good thing for the Oracles of the world. Yes, in fact, as part of this agreement, we're understanding that OpenAI potentially spends up to $250 billion in the coming years on Azure. That's good, but it gives OpenAI the flexibility to go to other places. So this is without question a clarifying moment for all parties involved. This is good for the AI spending halo, and this opens up the opportunity to broaden out that spending to a lot of different places that previously maybe didn't exist.
Yeah, Josh, what stands out to you today in this market? You, again, we're waiting on Alphabet. You got Apple above $4 trillion, Jensen about to take the stage in a stock that you own as well.
To me, like, the biggest thing, I can't believe no one's talking about it yet, is what does this mean for Apple's partnership with OpenAI? Because effectively, I wouldn't say it's a merger, but like this official financial tie-up between Microsoft and OpenAI, that's obviously in addition to the technological tie-up. I don't know. Like, does Apple have to do a deal now with Gemini? Or is Apple going to be ready on a standalone basis with foundational LLM model internally? Because the Siri/Apple Intelligence revamp coming on the heels of the rollout that nobody particularly was excited about is going to be, I think, critical for Apple. And I don't know, do they Do they want to double down on this existing partnership they have with OpenAI? Or in light of this now becoming a formal deal with Microsoft's stake in OpenAI's revenue, do they run into the arms of Alphabet and Gemini? I think it's a really fascinating moment in the development of all of these platforms. But I think that's, like, to me, the biggest open question that's now raised now that we know what this relationship between Microsoft and the ChatGPT products is going to be.
I mean, OpenAI is going to, this restructuring announcement is to become a more traditional for-profit business. And if you're telling me today that Microsoft has now, because there's been some questions about the relationship, obviously, over the last 6-8 months, that now we have a firm view of something that you could potentially model into Microsoft's own numbers. That seems extraordinary.
Yeah, I think this is a really big move from Microsoft. And, one stat that I came across is actually the sizing of the revenues of not only OpenAI, but Anthropic and also some of the other AI large-scale models. And if you look at the growth in the revenue, in 2025, it is forecast to grow 228%, Scott. So, we're starting from a relatively small place, where the revenues for some of those AI LLMs have been. But the scale, the pace of growth is really quite significant. So the fact that Microsoft and others are going to benefit from that, that's great. And I think that also bodes well for the overall AI ecosystem, because why would hyperscalers continue to spend on cloud computing is because their customers see demand for cloud computing, and customers are clearly monetizing their AI capabilities, and therefore they're going to continue to require cloud services. So I think this is very supportive, actually, of the development of AI.
To respond to Josh's concerns surrounding Apple, as part of this agreement, so now Microsoft and OpenAI, it does not include consumer hardware. So OpenAI has the ability to jointly develop products with third parties. Enter Apple if you're interested in your consumer product.
Yeah, but I mean, don't forget, didn't they buy Johnny Ive's company? And aren't they working on something? So that seems like more of a long shot to me. If you're talking about going to Apple for hardware when they bring the king of the iPhone, or certainly one.
There are privacy concerns for Apple also. The hallmark of Apple and its products and its ecosystem is the self-contained privacy within. That's like one of the most important aspects of this whole iOS ecosystem. The idea of going deeper now, I think, with a ChatGPT integration into Siri, like more substantial than it already is, and a vice versa, like a two-way street, versus Apple finding someone else to partner with, I think it's more like, look, we know they're negotiating. They've done a ton of business in the past with Google on search. I really think that, like, a big catalyst here for both Alphabet and for Apple could be something where it gets confirmed that the Apple Intelligence revamp in 2026 is going to heavily involve, if not be based upon, Gemini. I think that this almost makes that have to be the way that Apple chooses to go. And I doubt they're surprised by this, by the way. I'm just saying, like, that brings this conversation back to the fore. Once again, as a reminder, this is the biggest tech hardware company in the world for consumers, and we do not know what their AI product is going to be. It's really extraordinary. We just don't know. As shareholders, as users, that is the big question mark out there. And this, I think, introduces a new level of uncertainty.